What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is BC. Welcome back to another live. I know I've been off for a couple of days, but I promised everybody that I'd go live at least a couple nights a week. It's been crazy seeing the momentum, right? My watch time has tripled or quadrupled, and I think if we keep this up and we continue to get support within the next month or so, I should be able to monetize my channel, and after that, it's just going to explode, right? So again, a few quick reminders. Get on the Agagi if you're a new salesperson or entrepreneur. It's a new low-ticket training program that I created to give you a lot of the basics. It'll get you in some of my private groups too to connect with some good people. Also, the Precise Communication Challenge. I'm doing that the day after Christmas. It's a 4-day challenge, 1-hour training each day. Grab a ticket. It's going to be amazing. I continue to post about it. I'm doing another webinar on Sunday talking more about it, but I would highly recommend all of you get on it. All right. So let's get to the main point of today's live. How to become undeniable and irresistible. Undeniable. Undeniable meaning your offer is undeniable. Your presence is undeniable. Your communication is undeniable. Meaning everything you do, people can't help. It's like you're a Lamborghini going down the street and people can't help but turn and look. Even if they don't want to talk to you, even if they don't want to acknowledge the Lamborghini, they know it's there and they look at it. That's the key. So that's one piece. Irresistible. Irresistible means you're tantalizing. People can't help but talk to you, ask about you, want to touch you, right? Be a part of what you're doing. Today, we're going to cover both of those on today's live. And I want to talk more about it because I'm finding that when I work with people, because I've done this with myself, we're able to develop these X factors in them, meaning they become undeniable. They become irresistible to the audience or wherever they want to be irresistible. That's the beauty of this. This can be developed. You're not born with this. It's developed. And anybody can do it, right? So let's talk a little bit about this. Undeniable. Undeniable, we can break that down into many pieces. The first one would be the value that's offered is undeniable. Case in point, go back to my original YouTube channel that's monetized still, partially. And look at all the old videos that I posted and start a long time ago. I offered a perspective, gave advice, spoke on certain subjects, and enlightened people in a way that other people in the space were not doing. And still to this day, they don't do. So the offer was undeniable. The value was undeniable. The entertainment was undeniable. The information was undeniable, right? That's one example. Another one, you walk into a room. Most people dress, walk, and carry themselves a certain way and speak a certain way. When all those categories that I just named, you do them at the highest level. You dress sharp, you speak sharp, you carry yourself sharp, you're undeniable. You walk into a room, it lights up. People can't help but notice you. So this undeniable aspect, when we break it down, it's codified. It's not a foreign subject. It's not talent that somebody's born with. It is a code. And there's pieces to the puzzle that you need to put together. Now, for many people, they forget that the individual aspects of you, your individuality, right? Meaning your personality, right? How you speak about things, what you're passionate about, all these things. I tell people, everybody technically can be undeniable because nobody is a copy of anybody else. Even twins are different. Similar, very similar, but different. We have to accentuate the individualistic principles and pieces of that person. Meaning, when we go out, compare right now, if you're watching this from your house, your car, or wherever, how you are right now, what you like, how you dress. Compare that and contrast that with when you go out to a networking event, an event when you're at work. You're not the same person. You see, we start to blend in. We start to compromise these things about ourselves. And that's why when we go into these environments, we blend in and we don't stand out. And you don't accentuate what is individualistically unique, right? Now, that's a process, right? Because we lack confidence, we lack the courage, right? We lack the examples, the mentorship, and the help to get there, where we've been around other people potentially who were free in how they lived. And part of the reason that many of you are attracted to my message and my brands is because of that. I exhibit a freedom, and this point touches both. I exhibit a freedom that other people want and desire, but do not have. The freedom to express oneself in every way, spoken, dress, how I attack the world. That's attractive to people. And most people want that. They don't have it and they have to develop it. So by me demonstrating to people and showing people that I have that, it's undeniable and they want it. Therefore, they're going to listen to the message and they're going to be more drawn in. That type of thing is irresistible to people. Right? So for an individual today who wants to deviate from the path, if you're on the path, meaning think of what classically is told to people: get a job, go to college, right? If you follow that, well, it's going to be difficult for you to be undeniable and irresistible because you're literally doing what everybody else does. This is where it's difficult for people because to step away from that is risky. You get made fun of, right? You get criticized, you get ridiculed. So with the glory and the rewards that come with that path also comes certain things that people can deem as challenge or negative, right? They're two sides of the same coin of being on that journey. So it's one of those assessments that you need to make and say, if I want to walk this path and achieve that, am I willing to do it? Because the results, in spite of those challenges and roadblocks and criticisms and heartaches, there's a lot of good that comes with it. As an example, this week I made a lot of money. I had a 6-figure week. A 6-figure week in money made. Week. Not month, not year. Week. That's reserved for what? Top 1% of people that are earners in the world? You only have to make, I think, like 700,000 to be in the top 1% or 2%. It's not as high as people think in regards to being an earner, making money. Right? But when I look at everything that was done prior to getting to this moment, I earned that position and earned the ability to do so. And with that came a lot of ridicule, right? Dealing with my own personal demons, right? All the growth and development and the challenges and all the stuff that people have been seeing for the last decade that I've been sharing stuff online. Because if you're new here or you only known me a year, 6 months, 3 months, a year or two, I've been producing content consistently for 10 years now. And the last 7 of those have been very consistent. Because the first 2 or 3 years, I make a video once a week, maybe twice a week. But since then, it's been very consistent. And I've shown people the path, growing my businesses, going nationwide, moving across the country, building up my online businesses, all that stuff. So a lot has been done to get to this point. And when we look at that one thing, oh, he made 6 figures this week. That's just one of the many rewards that come with it. One of many. But when you look at the balance, right? If you look at that balance, right? Everything on this side, the heartache, the challenges, the suffering, the sacrifice. Oh man, that was heavy. And most people on this side, again, to achieve what I just named, would not be willing to give this part of it. Which again, that result is irresistible and undeniable to people because they know. They may not know consciously and be able to put it on paper, but they have an idea of what that person would have to do to achieve something like that. They know they have to go through the ringer and take years and learn skills and spend a lot of money and then go, because I've had my challenges too. I've made investments that didn't work out where I didn't make money, and I've made some that made me a ton. This was one of the reasons that I made 100K this week is one of my investments paid me. You see, but people won't even put themselves in the position to have the investment. If even we're going to talk finances, why? People won't even do step 1, which is having basic financial literacy and discipline, which is the first thing I teach my students when they get in my coaching. I have a whole section on that, because if they're not willing to do that, then why even build a business? Because you're already starting off with the quicksand foundation. But me having applied that 9 or 10 years ago has gotten me to this point financially in that one sector, because I took these proper steps. I'm now bearing the fruit of my labor. I'm willing to do what most people are not willing to do. Why do you think it's undeniable when somebody has a ripped physique? Like even me, I have a 6-pack year round. I'm pushing 40 soon, and I'm still in better shape than probably 99% of the planet. You see, but when you see that physique, And again, I'm not talking about the exception to the rule, the people who are on steroids and all that, right? But generally speaking, when we see a very ripped and good physique man or a woman, we respect it because we know the discipline it takes to have that, right? You follow a certain lifestyle and diet, you work out, you take care of yourself, and that body is a representation of those principles, which is why we're so drawn to it, why it's irresistible and undeniable. Like, yo, that person's in crazy shape. We know you might not be able to put it all on paper exactly, but you know the amount of work and discipline and all those things that I just described. Therefore, we don't have to think about respecting it or admiring it. It's just automatic. So now when we start decoding these things for ourselves in our lives, you realize very quickly, if you're real about creating these types of effects in your life, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of dedication. It's going to take a lot of learning, a lot of experience, because none of these things are given. You're not going to go from being obese to having a six-pack in a day. You've seen those videos explode on YouTube. 2-year fitness transformation. The guy's 300 pounds and then now he has a six-pack. And then he has all the extra skin hanging, right? But that was a 2-year journey in a 10-second video or 1-minute video or whatever. That's 2 years. That's 730 days of dedication. People aren't willing to do that, most people. People won't even commit to some shit for a week. So if we start looking at all the stuff that you do and your basic operating system as a human being, and we look at your actions and all that stuff, would we put you in this category? Because for most people, it's average. Average work ethic, average level of communication, average skill set, average physique. And if all these things line up to average, you're going to get average. And people have to take stock of their situation in their life to make these proper assessments. And they don't. They're not willing to wake up early and put the pizza down and the donuts and work out and study and invest in that coaching or mentorship or put in more work overtime for their job. They're just not willing to do it. So I'm establishing this base ground because when we start decoding this thing, like I said earlier, meaning it's codified, it becomes very simple what we have to do in order to achieve these extraordinary type of results. Now, these aren't extraordinary. In today's society, it's not extraordinary. It really isn't. Because the average person is not willing to do what it takes to become undeniable and irresistible. So let's pivot now to another subject like communication. It wouldn't take long for you to be an irresistible and undeniable communicator. It really wouldn't. But are you willing to do certain things like I did? I've gone in front of a comedy club, improv, twice. Would you be willing to do that? I dedicated myself to Toastmasters, which is a public speaking forum, for 18 months. And I showed up once a week, every week for 18 months. Are you willing to do that? I volunteered to speak for free over 100 times locally in Southern California when I was coming up 10 years ago. Would you be willing to do that? And not asking for a penny? I volunteered to speak to kids, sports teams, elementary schools, high schools, universities to improve my speaking skills. Are you willing to do that? I put out content for years on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Are you willing to do that and go live like this to improve your communication skills? Because this is a way for me to improve too. Whether we have 4 people on here live, 100 or 1,000 or however many people watch the recording, this is live for the world to see. It's public. So there's pressure that most people feel when they speak live. I don't feel it anymore because I've done this thousands of fucking times. It's easy now. I'm tremendously confident as a speaker now, but I've done more than what I just named. But those things that I named, would you be willing to do that? Because that takes a tremendous amount of sacrifice, money, time, resources, going through a lot of emotions, dealing with a bunch of bullshit. Are you willing to do that? If you're not going to be undeniable and irresistible from a communication standpoint. And if you're not willing to do it in one category that you have a desire to improve in, odds are you're not going to do it in any category. You remember the saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. Bingo. Which is why even as an employee, I was a stand-up employee and worked hard, showed up early, stayed late. When I translated to working for my own business, that was automatic. You're not going to be a lazy employee and then be a rock star entrepreneur. I'm sorry. You take pride in your work regardless of what it is. Because every day I worked as an employee, I said, the harder I work now and the better I do, I'm learning. And it's one step closer to owning my own business. Which is why, as an adult, aside from stuff in school and in between the basketball seasons where I'd work little jobs, as an adult, after my basketball career, I've never worked for somebody else. I've been a self employed entrepreneur and now business owner who has employees and has people on payroll. But when I was an employee, you could have looked at my work ethic and said, this person can go somewhere. He's dedicated. He's what I would want a model employee to be. And not for recognition, but because I took pride in the work that I did. Even if I was a fucking janitor, I would have swept the floors as if I was sweeping the floors to the president's house. Done correctly, done with pride, not skipping corners, not wanting to leave early. Because even if we talked about that person and showed them and made a video about them, people would admire that janitor and say, man, that's a stand-up dude. He works hard. He has a good work ethic. He has great principles. People would respect him. They wouldn't say, oh, he's a janitor. He's a loser. Now, Irresistible is more emotional, right? Sex appeal, star power, right? Charisma, charm. Those are some of the words that fall under the category of irresistible. What are some of the traits? Being loose, not being worried about other people's judgments or criticisms, accentuating your individuality, whether in how you speak, your dress, your opinions, always standing on the side of truth, regardless of the opposition. That's a tough one for a lot of people. Being honest, being direct, saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said. That'll make you irresistible. You know how many messages I get every day in regards to this particular one? A lot. Having a strong work ethic is attractive to others because we see it. We can hear it when you speak. When we observe somebody live their lives with a high work ethic, it's undeniable and it's irresistible. That's the person that you would want to align with, partner with, hire if they're an employee, be friends with, because that energy and that aura is intoxicating. Somebody who holds themselves to a higher standard is irresistible because around them, you're going to stand up a little bit straighter. You're going to dress a little bit better. You're going to speak a little bit more clearly, right? You're going to carry yourself different because that person holds themselves to a higher standard. So when you're in your presence, you will do the same. The individuals in my communities and my coaching programs do that. When we get together online or we get together in person for our live events, it's the same thing. Everybody shows up sharp, right? Everybody steps up because that's what the tribe expects. We hold each other accountable. We hold each other to a high standard. Are you around that or no? Because most people aren't. And they don't want to be around it because they don't want to be held to a higher standard. They want to just skate by and float by doing the bare minimum, which is fine. But if you're going to talk a big game, you got to back it up, dude. And most people don't. Most people don't. So start from a simple place. If you set out a schedule for yourself, are you following it? Because somebody who is going to eventually become undeniable and irresistible follows their schedule. How about your code, your principles, your values as a human being? Do you live by that code and stand by it and die by it? You see, nowadays, more than ever, that's irresistible. Because most people sell out now. They have no code. They have no belief system or ethics or anything. They just let the herd tell them what to do. They don't stick their foot in the ground and say, nope, not me. I'm not going to do that. So this thing isn't as complicated as people think. It really isn't. All the stuff that we've been learning, when you apply it and you embody it, you now become that. It's not magical. It's not difficult. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's not difficult. So I really hope that anybody listening to this who really has a genuine desire to improve starts to embody and always go back to those basics. Because when you do, you create a monster doing that. You create a monster. Because those things that have been etched in stone and written in scrolls and in books for centuries are exactly what you need today. That hasn't changed. Those same philosophical and ancient principles still apply today. It would behoove you to not get caught up in all the modern BS you see online and clickbait and all these new things. Most people telling you they're teaching you something new have just borrowed something from 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. It's not new, y'all. They just wrap it up and give it a new name. It's the same core principles from back in the day. The work ethic, the discipline, the commitment, that stuff isn't new. It's been around for eons and ages. Apply them to some of these higher level ways of being and statuses and descriptions like undeniable and irresistible will become very accessible to you. And it's not as far away as you think. Okay. So I'll keep it short and sweet tonight, guys. I have my family here, my parents that came down to visit. So I'll probably hop on and do some lives over the next couple of days or week, but they more than likely would be a little bit shorter. Okay. Check out all this stuff in the description. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.